Greetings! This is the Instrument Sidekick video for the percussion. Page 5, beginning bells. Page 5, beginning bells. Some important pictures there and important information here. And some things I need to explain that this page doesn't explain very well. So first, at home, you have a set of bells. On the bottom of the bells, you have these little guys here that you can flip all three open, rest down, all right? And then you'll open it up by pressing this right here. And you're going to press that button and lift this up. Whoops, dropped it. Press it up and lift it up. All right? Now, the handle separates out in the middle of the handle. So don't hold on to the handle and, and be like, why isn't it opening? Okay? So you're going to need to not grip that just that way, and you're going to need to press that button. Moves this little guy right here. Okay, this white thing gets moved over to latch it. All right, and you're going to have some what we call mallets. Okay, these aren't sticks, they are mallets. All right, now these particular mallets are just simply plastic. Okay, different kinds of mallets for different kinds of things. What the bells here are, these are metal bells. All right, so their technical name is glockenspiel. Glockenspiel. Got to be able to say that. Glockenspiel. And that's what it will say on that side right there. Glockenspiel. All right, which is just means metal bells. Okay, so metal bells. And it's got this keyboard-looking thing, what we call a keyboard, where it's got all the different notes, very similar to a piano. A piano is another keyboard instrument. All right, and you hit this kind of thing with mallets. Now, since it's metal, plastic will work, metal will work, pretty much just about anything will work. Yarn will be a little kind of too soft. It won't really make much of a sound. So you have some mallets with yarn on the end, okay? But this is something where you can hit metal against metal, and that'll work. If you get into xylophones or marimbas, and all sorts of other kinds of keyboard instruments, which are very similar to the glockenspiel, but they're made of wood, okay? Realize that whatever mallets you choose to hit those with, make sure it's not metal. Don't want to hit metal against the wood, because the metal will chip away at the wood of the xylophone. So keep that in mind and never hit that with metal. And then that one, sometimes yarn will work, will create a nice soft sound as opposed to other things. But we usually want things that in band that are going to hit it and create a nice loud ring. So plastic against these is just going to be fine. All right, nice and loud. So this will just rest down in front of you, and you'll be able to put your music up on there. Look at that. Ooh, okay. So you have that sitting there. Now, as you look at these bells, you're going to see that all through the bells, you'll be able to see the names of the notes, okay? Not all glockenspiel and xylophones and all that kind of stuff have the names of notes on them. So you're going to need to eventually learn to memorize where these things are on the keyboard. All right? So by having all the names of the notes, this is going to help you work towards memorizing that particular feature. All right? So you have usually patterns of 2 and 3 and 2. This would go on to 3 if it was bigger. This would go on to 3 if it was bigger. Okay? Through this area where there aren't spaces, these have spaces here. Okay, through this area where they have spaces, you're going to see it go through the alphabet from A to G and then repeats back to A. Okay, so we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it goes back to another A. The smaller the key, the higher the sound. Okay, so this key here that says an A right there, and there's a key here that says A. They're both A, but this A over here is a bigger key. All right. This A here is a smaller key. Okay? They're still both considered an A, but this is low A, and this is high A. Okay? That makes a big difference sometimes. You have to use common sense when you're playing. It's a lot of the beginning music before I put it specifically with notes on a staff. Just like you see with hot cross buns here, you just see the notes. You have to use common sense to know generally where they are. So for instance, the first notes here, D, C, and B flat, you have... Okay, we know hot cross buns. Don't go to this D and then jump up to this C and back to this B flat. Don't go. Okay, that's not hot cross buns. You have to use common sense where they are at first. And then as we learn how the music reads on a staff, you'll learn that there's a specific key for every one of those notes. Now, these keys up here, the ones that have the spaces between, these are flats and sharps. All right, now a lot of the notes that you see there, you see the little sharp symbols. They look like little hashtags. All right, so this isn't C hashtag right here. This is C sharp. Okay, so in band we tend to use flats instead of sharps, and all these keys have two names, but they only put one name on the cheap ones that we bought for you. Okay, so these ones are fairly cheap, and we got ones that were have sharps on them, which are more popular in orchestra than they are in concert band. In concert band, we tend to prefer flats, so we need to replace some of the sharp named notes with flat named notes. So what I want you to do is grab like some masking tape or something along those lines, and on a pen or a marker, you're going to write down the flat names. So this is a B flat, and you'll use that tape and you'll cover up where it says A sharp to be B flat. There's two of them on here, so I want you to replace both of those. Okay? Here is a D sharp. I want D sharps to be replaced with E flats. Replace all D sharps with a capital E and then a flat sign. Now the flat sign looks a lot like, but should I point out, there are two D sharps, so you need to replace both of those. This one is not replaced up there, but I'm good enough to know what that is. But replace both the D sharps with E flats, because B flats and E flats are common. So let's talk about the flat sign. Now the flat sign looks like a lowercase b, all right? Usually used with the things that I did in the book where I had to type things out. There is no actual flat symbol in the book, in a keyboard. So you just typed a lowercase b, but that does not mean it's another b, okay? So when we're talking here, this is not a BB, that's a B flat, B flat, okay? So the lowercase b is a flat. So if I were to take a piece of paper here, to draw a flat, you tend to draw half a circle, or half a heart. Ooh, wow, my pen is not working. There we go. Half a heart. Okay, so it's actually half a heart with a stem coming up. Okay, looks a lot like a lowercase b though, but it is a flat sign. So make sure to replace anything that says A sharp with B flat and anything that says D sharp with E flat. All right, B is in boy flat for A sharps, and E is in excellence flat for anything that's a D sharp on the on your keyboard glockenspiel. Okay, make sure those are replaced so you aren't confused as you're trying to learn to play these notes. You're going to find it quite difficult early on if you don't do that, but you eventually have to memorize what all the keys are named so you can play keyboard instruments that don't have them, okay? This is a children's version meant to help you, all right? But they expect you to eventually learn and memorize where all those keys are and know all their names. So you got to do whatever you can to memorize that, whatever tricks you can to memorize that. Like I remember underneath the pattern of 3, right underneath that's the F. Okay, so that'll help maybe. But you've got to memorize, come up with some kind of trick to help you memorize that. Let's see. If more than one person has a favorite instrument in band, it's important to take turns and be fair. Right down there, okay? So let's say when we're in band rehearsal, somebody really wants to play the bells, and somebody else would want to play snare drum, and somebody else would want to play bass drum. These are the three instruments that are going to need to be played all the time in band. The majority of time, that's what I'm going to want: a bass drum, a snare drum, and bells. So obviously, if everyone's favorite is one of those three, maybe everyone's favorite is the bass drum. They just love keeping a beat in the bass drum. Well, obviously, all three of you can't play bass drum and then ignore the snare drum and cymbals. So it can't really work that way. Everyone needs to get used to playing all of them. So I kind of go by the honor system. I really don't like having to keep track of where my percussionists are in the back. They're always way in the back because these are loud instruments. Use common sense and work out each time and be fair, so everyone's getting a fair amount of time on each instrument. Either rotate through them during the band rehearsal so you're getting turns, or each band rehearsal be rotated and spend the whole band rehearsal in the different spot. Okay, whatever works for you guys is fine, but it's got to be fair. And if you can't be fair and work these things out fairly, that's not a good thing, okay? No bullying or pushing to get what you want over somebody else, okay? Put others above yourself. Give them the first turn on something that you really wanted, and hopefully they'll do the same back for you the next time, all right? That being said, hot cross buns. It says D, C, B flat, D, C, B flat, B flat, B flat, B flat, B flat, C, 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 D, C, B flat. All right. So you can do this on either the high or the low, but keep them all high or low, okay? Don't jump between a low D to the high C to the low B flat. That doesn't make any sense. Make it either the low D, C, and B flat or the high D, C, and B flat, okay? So it'll sound like this. Now, hear how it keeps ringing, okay? The ring won't stop unless I touch it with my fingers, okay? So after you're done playing, you take, you have that matched grip there, all right? You take these fingers that you don't stick out for tea time, you stick them out and touch the keys to stop the sound from ringing, okay? So you do that, and remember everything you learned about snare drum sticking. Don't hold the sticks down. The pull away is more important even than the hit, okay? So if I hit and keep it down, it's not going to sound good. Okay? We want it to pull away. Okay? The pull away is more important than the actual hit. Okay? And see how I stop the sound there? It is also important to get used to changing your hands. Don't do it all on your right hand or all on your left hand. You want to alternate hands. Right, left, right. Right, left, right. Right, left, right, left, right. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay? So it's important to alternate your hands and not always be doing it with just one. Don't just go right, 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 right. Okay? Or left, left, left. Whatever is easier for you, don't do that. You want to alternate the hands. Okay? Can also be done in the high notes. Okay? Hear how it sounds the same if I hit both the high D and the low D? Okay, so you see why it has the same name in a high spot. It sounds exactly alike, but you can still tell one's higher than the other, but it's still the same. It's got the same name, okay? So hopefully that'll help with your beginning bells. Whenever you're done, you take your mallets, you slide them back in. All right, so you slide them back into place. All right. Close this, make sure it's closed all the way, and then fold all three of these back down, and then put it somewhere out of the way so it's protected and safe. All right, so practice some hot cross buns. So still practicing on the snare drum, alternating your hands back and forth, and practice now on the bells, hot cross buns, alternating hands and making sure that you're hitting those right. And I will check you in classes that we have. All right. Practice, 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 and may the force be with you.